So when I found out what the topic was for this year's Get Organized HQ Summit, my favorite things for a smoothly running home, I had to laugh because the first thing that popped into my mind wasn't even a thing. And if you know me, yeah, that's pretty typical. I tend to think outside of the box, almost to a fault. It's like the box is in one room and I'm on a completely different floor, standing in, I don't know, my closet. So the number one thing that helps my home run more smoothly is that I'm always paying attention to whether or not my home still fits my life. Now, I know that's kind of a mouthful, but stick with me because it's actually a whole lot simpler than it sounds. But first, if this is our first time meeting, hello, my name is Tracy Lynn, and I teach midlife women how to right size their homes so they fit the life they're living today. And that little intro really does tie into my favorite thing that helps me run a smoother home. Because ever since I started changing how I look at the things I have, noticing and paying attention has become a part of my daily routine. Because here's what happens, especially when we get older, our lives change. The kids grow up and move out. Maybe we retire. We cook differently. We entertain differently. I don't know. We have different hobbies. We wear different clothes. Even the way we physically move around our homes change. But our homes don't automatically change right along with us, right? And that's how we can end up in our 60s or 70s, still storing things for a life we haven't lived in years. That's why I'm always paying attention because if I'm on the lookout for things that no longer fit my life, I can make small adjustments as I go throughout my day without turning everything into a full-blown project. And if I catch clutter before it has a chance to take over, my home is automatically going to run more smoothly. So let me give you an example of something that happened just the other day. So I was cooking dinner, right? And I went to grab a serving spoon out of my kitchen drawer. And when I opened it, I heard this loud clunk in the back. Now, you know the back of the drawer I'm talking about, right? That mysterious place where things you haven't touched in years go to hide. Yeah, that's the place I'm talking about. So, of course, I hear that noise. I have to investigate, right? So I start digging around, trying to see what's back there. And I find this, a steel meat mallet. I have owned this thing for years, probably even decades, and I can count on one hand how many times I've used it. Actually, I don't even need a hand because I don't think I've ever used it. It's not like we don't eat meat, right? It's just that I haven't had to pound a piece of meat before we can eat it in the last 20 years. So I noticed this mallet and I asked myself, does it still fit the way I'm cooking today? No, it actually doesn't. So out of the drawer it came and I went right back to cooking dinner. No big sorting project, no emptying out the entire drawer onto the counter, no spending my Saturday afternoon going through every single utensil that I own. I noticed something, I made the decision, and I went right back to my day. And it's those small moments that can have such a huge impact on how smoothly our homes run. Because when you start noticing things you routinely skip over, you can remove what you no longer use and give yourself more space for the things that you do. And space is another one of my favorite things for a smoothly running home. Except, I guess space isn't a thing either. Yeah, I'm really hitting this one out of the park, aren't I? But think about it. Space isn't just breathing room for you, it's breathing room for your things too. Your shirts aren't getting wrinkled because they're crammed so tightly into a closet, you need two hands and a hip check to get the hanger on the rod. Your tongs aren't tangled together in the drawer because you're trying to store 15 things in there when you should only have 8. And when the things you use actually have room, they're easier to see, they're easier to grab, and they're easier to put back when you're done using them. That's a smoothly running home. Noticing and breathing room. Two things you probably weren't expecting to hear in this video. But yes, that's me. I look at things differently. But wait, there's another part of this that I think becomes even more important as we get older. Your home needs to be easier for you to use. And that is something I started noticing in my own home. I had things stored into places that just made absolutely no sense anymore. Why? Because that's where I always kept them. And that's not always the best plan. Take my mixing bowls, for example. For years, I kept those bowls in a lower cabinet, and that worked just fine. Well, until it didn't. Because eventually I realized every time I wanted a mixing bowl, I had to bend down, get on my knees, reach into the cabinet, and pull out the bowl. And then figure out how I was going to get back up so I can actually use the bowl in the first place, right? So at this point, if I get down on the floor, I'm checking to see what else needs done while I'm there because I'm only making that trip once. So I finally thought, why am I doing this? I use these bowls all the time. Why am I storing them in a place that's so hard for me to get to? So I moved them to a better place, and that's it. I didn't organize my entire kitchen or empty every single cabinet. I moved the bowls to a better place, one that makes more sense for me today. And that's something I want you to pay attention to in your own home. Where are the things at that you use every single day? Are they the easiest to get to? Are you bending down? Are you climbing up? Are you digging behind things or moving things out of the way just to get to them? Because sometimes right sizing is more about the small adjustments that make your home easier for you. And maybe that means admitting this setup just doesn't work anymore and then changing it. Remember, your home doesn't have to stay the way it was when you were 35 just because. Your life gets to change and your home should change right along with it. Okay, let's get back to the other side of this for a minute because I want to show you how easy it is to start noticing excess without turning your house upside down. Let's talk about food storage containers. Something I think every single woman on the planet has battled at least once in her lifetime. So most of us keep like this big collection because you just never know when you're going to need a specific size. And if you've ever gotten takeout from like a Chinese restaurant, I'm sure a few of us have those containers in the mix as well, right? Because they're nice and they're really easy to use. Okay, so maybe you're somewhat organized. You've got the bowls and the containers on one side and you've got the lids on the other. Or maybe you're like me and everything's just thrown into one area. Hey, we're all doing the best that we can. So back to it. The problem usually shows up after dinner, right? You've got leftovers on one hand, you're digging through the cabinet with the other, trying to find the right size container and a lid that fits while you're battling 27 other options. There is nothing smooth about that. But that's where the noticing comes in again, right? The next time you're looking for a container, pay attention to the ones you keep skipping over. Maybe there's one way in the back you haven't touched in like a year. Maybe there's one or three that you never had the lid that stayed on tightly, right? As soon as you put it on, it pops right off. I know I have several of those. Or maybe there's a pile of random containers without lids and 4 lids without containers. And yes, that's another video for another time. Okay, so here's the thing. You don't have to pull every single container out and turn this into a big project. Just notice what's sitting there that no longer works for the life you're living today. The 2 big containers because you're just cooking for you and your husband. The 2 small containers because you don't save any snacks for little kids anymore. And ask yourself, do I still routinely use this? If the answer is no, out it goes. Now you've created a little more breathing room without adding another project to your to-do list. You simply made it part of your day. Notice, ask, decide, get back to your day. And you can do this all over your house. The next time you're getting dressed, look at the clothes that slowly migrate to the far end of the closet rod. You know the ones. You ignore them every single morning while you look for the things you actually want to wear. Instead of skipping over them again, notice them. Why haven't you worn that shirt? Maybe it doesn't fit anymore, or maybe it itches like crazy. Whatever the reason is, notice it. Then ask yourself if that shirt still fits the style you have today. If it doesn't, make the decision. Then get dressed and go on with your day. Because that's really the part I want you to take away from this. You don't have to change your home and turn everything into a project. And I think sometimes that's exactly what stops us, right? You look around and think, I need to change my entire closet, or I need to clean out my kitchen from top to bottom. And suddenly you've got this project that's going to take an entire weekend. You've got stuff everywhere. And now you're wishing, oh, I wish I never even started this. Instead, just start paying attention while you're already living your life. And I want you to do this for the next 7 days. As you're going through your day, notice what's in the way. When you get dressed tomorrow morning, notice the things that you're skipping over. When you open your pantry, notice the foods that nobody is eating. When you're making breakfast, notice what you have to move out of the way to get to the things you actually use. And when something catches your attention, use these 4 simple steps. First, notice what isn't working. Next, ask, does this still fit the life I'm living today? Next, decide, Keep it, move it, or donate it. And finally, get back to your day. That's it. That's all you need to do. You don't need to make 100 decisions at once. Yes. You don't need to turn your house into a disaster in order to make it better. You just need to pay attention, because when you do, something really amazing starts to happen. The more you notice, the more your home starts catching up to your life. And soon you'll have a smoother running home that fits the person you are today and the life you're living right now. So, if you're a woman in midlife and beyond, or beyond, I guess you're one or the other, and you've been looking at your home thinking, I don't want to spend the next 10 years organizing all this stuff. I just want my home to be easier to live in. I think you're going to like it here. And if you want to learn more about right-sized living, I've got a free guide for you in the description down below. Just look for the gift emoji and you'll see the link right beside it. And while you're here, take a look around my channel. I've got lots of videos where I show you how to use right-sized living in your own home and how you can make your life and your space smoother for you. But before you go, remember the challenge for this week. Notice, ask, decide, and then get back to your day. Give it 7 days and see what your home starts showing you. Okay, that's all I have. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.